Three things are happening simultaneously right now that have never lined up like this before in the history of XRP. Not once. XRP Tokyo 2026 is happening today, Asia's largest conference dedicated exclusively to XRP. 3,000 attendees, 20-plus speakers. Ripple's senior leadership on stage alongside SBI, Rakuten, A16Z Crypto, and Securitize Japan. All inside a 400-year-old Japanese garden in Tokyo. The Senate returned from Easter recess today, April 13th, which means the Clarity Act markup window is officially open. The clock Galaxy Digital said would determine whether this bill lives or dies in 2026 started ticking this morning. And 48 hours from right now, April 9th's full tariff reciprocation takes effect. The macro event that caused Standard Chartered to slash their 2026 XRP target from $5.50 to $2.80. The Fear and Greed Index to sit at 12 for 49 consecutive days. And over 56% of XRP's circulating supply to be underwater. 3 timelines, one 48-hour window. And the outcome of all three will determine whether XRP enters Q2 2026 with momentum it has never had before, or slides into a catalyst vacuum that pushes every major institution back to the sidelines until 2027. This is not financial advice. I am sharing publicly available information for educational purposes. Always do your own research. Before we get into it, drop convergence in the comments if you see all 3 timelines aligning and you're positioned for it. Drop nervous if the 48-hour window has you watching more closely than usual. Drop all 3 if you understand that Tokyo, the Clarity Act, and the tariff deadline are not separate stories, but one interconnected moment. I want to see how this community reads the convergence. Welcome back. I am the Calm Analyst. Around here, we don't cover events in isolation. We trace how they connect. And today, for the first time, 3 separate catalyst timelines are converging on the same 48-hour window. An institutional conference in Asia, a legislative deadline in Washington, and a macro trigger that paradoxically threatens the price while strengthening the use case. Let's break down each one and then connect them. Let's get into it. Let me start with Tokyo, because it's happening right now, and most of the XRP community doesn't fully understand what makes today's conference different from every other Ripple event. XRP Tokyo 2026 is not a Ripple marketing event. It is not a developer conference. It is Asia's largest conference dedicated exclusively to XRP and the XRP ledger. Hosted at Rakuten, a 400-year-old Japanese garden, and the speaker lineup makes clear why the institutional weight is different. On stage today, Christina Chan, Tatsuya Kurogi, and Marcus Infanger from Ripple's senior leadership, J.I.O. Akin, head of engineering at RippleX, Takuya Sugiyama, vice president of SBI Ripple Asia, Sampriti from A16Z Crypto, Tatsuya Yamada from Rakuten Wallet, representatives from Securitize Japan, Evernorth, and the University of Tokyo. SBI alone justifies the importance. SBI Holdings is Ripple's largest external shareholder. Their relationship dates back to 2016 through SBI Ripple Asia, which has built cross-border payment solutions across Japan, South Korea, India, and the Philippines. 6 weeks ago, SBI launched a 10 billion yen blockchain bond, equivalent to $64 million, that rewards investors directly with XRP. That is the first time a major Japanese financial institution has issued a bond with XRP as the yield mechanism. Not RLUSD, not fiat, XRP. And today, SBI's vice president is on stage at the largest XRP-specific institutional conference ever held in Asia. Japan is not a peripheral crypto market. XRP is on the JVCA Green List, Japan's recognized framework for institutional-grade crypto assets. It's handled by 20 member exchanges, making it the 3rd most widely adopted asset in Japan's regulated ecosystem, behind only Bitcoin and Ethereum. Japan's tokenized real-world asset market is already managing $2.8 billion, with projections pointing towards $6 to $7 billion by year-end. And A16Z Crypto being in the room is not incidental. When Andreessen Horowitz's crypto arm shows up to an XRP-specific institutional conference, they are evaluating infrastructure, not doing PR. The community is watching specifically for the RLUSD panel at SBI VC Trade. If today's panel confirms a timeline for RLUSD entering the Japanese market through SBI's licensed exchange with their client base behind it, that is the most commercially concrete announcement this conference can produce. If that lineup just showed you why Tokyo matters differently, smash that like button. Because institutional conferences with this caliber of attendees and this specific focus on one asset don't happen often, and most of the crypto market isn't watching. Now let me turn to the Clarity Act, because the Senate returned this morning, and what happens in the next 2 weeks determines XRP's entire second half of 2026. The bill passed the House in July 2025 with a 294 to 134 vote, one of the strongest bipartisan margins for any crypto legislation in U.S. history. Then it hit the Senate and stalled. The banking lobby held the entire bill hostage for an entire quarter over a single provision, the clause that would have allowed crypto platforms to pay interest on stablecoin holdings. JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo viewed yield-bearing stablecoins as an existential threat to their deposit base. If you can earn interest holding USDC on Coinbase, you have less reason to keep money in a checking account. They spent 3 months lobbying against that one clause. And then on March 20th, the deal was reached. The revised language prohibits passive yield on stablecoin balances. The banks got what they wanted. Their reason to block the bill is gone. Today, April 13th, the first day the Senate is back in full session, the Banking Committee markup window is officially open. The committee has 2 working weeks in April, the weeks of April 13th and April 20th. After that, recess again. No other in-session dates in April. If Chairman Tim Scott does not schedule a markup in one of those 2 windows, the bill does not get a markup in April. Galaxy Digital's Alex Thorne said it plainly. If the bill does not clear committee by end of April, it is likely dead for 2026. Midterm politics consume the Senate calendar from May onward. Senator Moreno confirmed the same. If it doesn't reach the floor by May, it won't move before the midterms. The outstanding issues are real. The stablecoin yield text is resolved, but DeFi provisions, token classification details, and tokenization treatment are still under review. Senator Lummis described the bill as close to agreement and confirmed the markup is back on the calendar. Close to agreement is the most positive signal possible, but close and done are different things. Standard Chartered projects $4 to $8 billion in new XRP ETF inflows as a direct result of permanent statutory commodity classification. 7 ETFs hold $1.44 billion now. Weekly inflows collapsed from $43 million at launch to under $2 million in March. $4 to $8 billion entering a market where 11.4 billion XRP has already left Binance and the order book is thin means amplified price response. Comment below. Do you think the Banking Committee announces a markup date this week? Type this week if yes. Type late April if you think it comes in the April 20th window. Type delayed if you think it gets pushed past April. I want the community's honest probability assessment. Now let me address April 9th, because the tariff deadline is the piece that has the community most scared. And the fear is both justified and missing a critical insight. Full tariff reciprocation takes effect under Trump's Liberation Day framework. The Fear and Greed Index has been at 12 for 49 consecutive days. When Trump announced tariffs in April 2025, Bitcoin fell from $88,000 to $74,000 in 5 days. Ethereum and XRP both fell nearly 28% in the same period. The tariff shock to crypto has a documented playbook. The fear is that tariff-driven macro pressure kills the momentum from Tokyo and delays the Clarity Act by consuming Senate bandwidth with economic emergency debates. That fear has merit. When sweeping tariffs hit, senators field constituent calls about inflation and supply chains, not crypto market structure markups. But here's the critical insight the fear narrative is missing. The tariff environment is not uniformly bad for XRP. It is bad for the price in the short term, as risk-off sentiment drives capital out of volatile assets. But it is structurally positive for XRP's use case in the medium term. When tariffs disrupt global trade, cross-border payment costs rise. Traditional correspondent banking rails get more expensive and more uncertain as counterparty relationships shift. That is the environment where Ripple's on-demand liquidity becomes the most commercially compelling it has ever been. 3 to 5 second settlement, fractions of a cent, no pre-funded Nostro accounts, no correspondent relationships that need renegotiating every time a tariff regime changes. One of the biggest drivers of cross-border payment volume in Asia-Pacific, particularly between Japan, South Korea, India, and the Philippines, is business-to-business trade settlement. When tariffs raise the cost of goods, companies still need to settle transactions. They still need to move money. The question is, which rail they use. Ripple's ODL is available in all 4 of those markets through SBI Ripple Asia's corridors. The companies that adopt it today, when trade finance is more expensive and uncertain, are the companies that build XRP into their operational infrastructure at scale, and that infrastructure persists even after the tariff environment stabilizes. Short-term price pressure from risk-off sentiment is real. Medium-term demand expansion from a more expensive and fragmented global payment system is equally real. The tariff environment threatens the chart. It strengthens the thesis. Subscribe right now, hit the bell, drop a clode in the comments, because the next 48 hours determine the trajectory of the entire quarter. Tokyo announcements, Senate scheduling, tariff implementation, Bitcoin's response. We cover every signal in real time. Now let me give you the complete scenario analysis, because you need to know what to watch and what each outcome means. Bull scenario. Tokyo produces at least one concrete institutional announcement, an SBI RLUSD launch timeline, a new Japanese bank ODL corridor, or an A16Z-backed XRPL project. And the Senate Banking Committee announces a markup date in the week of April 13th or 20th. Both together represent the most significant simultaneous catalyst stack since the ETFs launched. Near-term target, $1.60 to $1.80. Standard Chartered base case with full passage, $2.80. Base scenario, Tokyo produces institutional momentum without a headline-generating announcement. The Clarity Act markup is announced but scheduled for late April. XRP consolidates in the $1.30 to $1.45 range while waiting for the markup date. Tariff pressure provides downside volatility without a sustained break of $1.27 support. Bear scenario. Tariff impact drags Bitcoin below $65,000. Clarity Act markup delayed past April as Senate floor time gets consumed by economic emergency debates. Tokyo produces no headline announcement. The $1.27 to $1.28 cost basis cluster becomes the battleground. If it breaks on weekly close, next support is $1.20, then $1.04. The 2027 narrative becomes dominant. What to watch specifically? From Tokyo, any SBI announcement on RLUSD at SBI VC Trade, any new Japanese bank ODL corridors, A16Z commentary on XRPL investment, Garlinghouse's positioning on the Clarity Act from the Tokyo stage. From Washington, a markup date announcement from Chairman Tim Scott, any news about outstanding Clarity Act text disputes being resolved, particularly DeFi provisions and token classification language. From the macro, Bitcoin's response to April 9th tariff implementation. Bitcoin above $65,000 means the floor holds. Below $65,000 means the bear scenario is on the table. And watch the XRP ETF weekly inflow data. The week inflows reverse from March's net outflow back into positive territory is the week institutional money starts responding to legislative signals. That reversal is what 2026's price appreciation will be built on. Let me close with this. I've covered XRP through every catalyst of 2026. The OCC bank rule, the MasterCard partnership, the commodity classification. Everyone arrived and was followed by a price drop. This community is exhausted, and that exhaustion is justified. But today is different in kind from every previous catalyst day. Tokyo is an institutional convergence, not a Ripple press release. The Clarity Act is a legislative event, not a corporate one. And April 9th is a macro event that paradoxically strengthens XRP's commercial use case at the exact moment it creates short-term price pressure. These three things are not individually unique. Three of them arriving on the same 48-hour clock is whether this window closes with XRP having a legislative mandate and institutional momentum behind it, or closes with a bill stalled again and a price chart pointing toward $1.04, will be clear before this week is over. Watch the signals. Watch Washington. Watch Tokyo. Watch Bitcoin on April 9th. This is the window. Price is a distraction. Value is the reality. Structure is what matters. And the structure converging on this 48-hour window, institutional, legislative, and macro, is unlike anything XRP has faced in 14 years. In a market fueled by emotion and noise, we thrive on data and composure. Remember, haste leads to loss, while calm analysis leads to victory. Comment, calm analyst, below. Drop your honest prediction. Markup announced this week, late April, or delayed past April. I want the full debate. And share this with someone in the XRP community who's watching the price and feeling the fear. Show them the complete picture of what the next 48 hours actually contains. The fear is real. The opportunity is also real. And understanding both is what separates the positioned from the panicked. Like, subscribe, notifications on. I'll see you in the next one. Stay patient. Stay rational. And as we always do, we don't wait for the future. We plan for it. Peace.